Hey everybody, Kennis here. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great today. So today I want to make a video talking about comparing yourself with other musicians and how to compare yourself with other musicians and the dangers of doing that. Okay, so this is probably more for like the intermediate guitar player. And when I say comparing yourself to other musicians, more or less I'm kind of thinking about people that you know, or at least that's the story that I'm going to tell is going to be kind of based on that. But comparing yourself with the level that you're at, comparing yourself with the level that they're at, and then what conclusions you may come to and what fallacies you may be doing by coming to that conclusion. So here's my story. When I was in college, I was in jazz band. And in jazz band, it was awesome time. I absolutely loved jazz band. And if you've never played in jazz band, it's a unique kind of setup because you have tons of different musicians, and they're all at different levels, and they're all at different playing abilities. Well, in a lot of ways, if you are, let's say, like a trumpet player, usually they'll have like the lead trumpet player and then the other guys, like the lead sax player and the other guys. And your rhythm section is a little bit unique because your rhythm section is drums, bass, guitar, and piano, and there might be a couple others every now and then that you throw in there, but for the most part, most jazz bands, that's the rhythm section. So because there's not like 4 or 5 trumpet players, there's just different musicians. There's only one guitar player that plays at a time typically. It's kind of harder to compare yourself with other musicians. Now this applies to trumpet players and everybody across the board, but this is what I'm saying. My point with this is, so when I was in jazz band, there was 2 guitar players, and we would alternate songs on which songs we'd play. So we'd, usually in a semester or whatever, you'd play like 12 or 15 songs that you're working on, and we would say, hey, I like this song, I want to play that one. Or I'd say, oh no, you can have that one, I don't really care about that one. And you could split it up. So now for me, I actually always wanted to learn to play them all because I wanted to get it as good as possible. So I would learn all the songs anyway. But anyway, if I were back then, I struggled with comparing myself to this other guitar player, because we were different types of guitar players. We had different strengths than each other. And so really in a lot of ways, if you're going to college for music, like if you're going to a school of music, it's one of the worst times to compare yourself with someone else, with your peers as far as you're playing. And here's the reason why, is because to become good at something, it takes time. There's not just a single lesson that you have and then all of a sudden, hey, you're a great soloist, or hey, there's one lesson you have and you really understand something really well and you can play it really well. No, it takes weeks and months and years to really master even an aspect of something. Okay. And when you're in an environment where you're surrounded by musicians, and all of those musicians have different instructors, and those instructors are giving different things for each musician. So like me and this other guitar player, we had different instructors. And so, he was, as far as music theory was concerned and that kind of thing, I was a lot better at him. But as far as soloing and like kind of feel of play, when it came to lead, he was far superior than I was. So we have like these 2 sides where my rhythm playing was higher than his, but then his lead playing was higher than mine. And the reason is because I was spending a ton of time on rhythm. I wanted to be able to, not only myself but my instructor wanted to be able to sit down and play anything. Like it was important to me to be able to read a chord chart without having any issues with it. I know what chords to play, and I could comp over underneath anybody. And so for him, he didn't have that. I don't know if his instructor wasn't having him do that or what, but he was spending a lot of time on soloing. So his soloing level was a lot better than mine, but my rhythm level was a lot better than his. So that's one reason why it's difficult and kind of dangerous to compare yourself with other people that are kind of in the same level as you, is because you're working on different things. So I could get really discouraged and say like, man, this guy is a lot, he's a lot better player than I am. But in a lot of ways, he could do the same thing. He could be like, well, man, he's a lot better player than me. Or you could do the other way around, which is even more dangerous, and say like, oh, I'm a way better player than this other person because I can do this that they can't do. Because sometimes it's easy to kind of get blinded by how good you think you are. And musicians, by the way, always think that they're better than they are. Very few musicians, matter of fact, usually when somebody's like, yeah, I'm not very good, that's almost an indication that they are good, because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. That's a whole different topic in itself. So comparing yourself, there were times where I would start to get frustrated, and because we were comparing, we were immature musicians, and we were really kind of comparing each other. Every time we would play, we would want other people to think, oh, he's the better guitar player, or no, he's the better guitar player. There was like this desire. I mean, we never talked about it, but that's the way it felt, at least from my perspective. So I was trying to prove that I was the better of the guitar players. But the fact is, when you're in that kind of intermediate level of musicianship, you simply just have not had enough time to be competent across the board. Now, if you take somebody that's been playing for 20 or 30 years and then say, yeah, this guy, he's a lot better guitar player than someone else. Or I might, if I was playing with somebody, right now, let's see, I've been playing for 28 years right now. And if I was playing with somebody, and it would be no problem for me to be like, yeah, that guy, he is a lot better than me. And it's because there's more aspects to compare. It's not just one or two things, and there might be some things that I'm still better at than somebody else, but it's something interesting that happens is like this comparison thing falls away the better musician you are. So it's almost like a litmus test to me. Like if I feel threatened by a musician, if I'm playing with somebody, or sometimes you'll play with somebody, and then someone else in the group will be like, man, that guy was a really good guitar player. And you kind of think there's something in you that goes like, well, man, what are you trying to say? I'm not a good guitar player? Well, I've noticed that as that's kind of died off, I think I've become a better musician. It's like, it's almost a litmus test to like, are you a mature musician by comparing yourself to other people? And so now, I mean, there's plenty of times I'll play with people and I'll think like, yeah, that guy is a lot better player than I am. And I have no problem saying that. Like, there's no insecurity involved in that. And it's just a part of becoming a mature musician. So I think that, to wrap everything up, I think that there's a danger in just comparing yourself with other musicians, having this insecurity comparison. It's one thing to say like, oh man, that guy was better than me in this aspect, and I have no problem with that. But to put someone else down, or to, it's like anything, usually when somebody's making fun of somebody, they're trying to make fun of somebody else to make them look better. Musicians basically do that. We try to put someone else down to make us feel better. As a matter of fact, I forgot about this. In jazz band, when we were talking one time, we were just, I don't know what exactly we were talking about, but it was before class and or before rehearsal, and somehow the topic of B.B. King was brought up. And this other guitar player that was in the class, he just throws it out there. I have no idea why he said this, but he said, B.B. King sucks. And everybody kind of looked at each other like, what? And so they looked. I remember the instructor, he looked at me and he said, what do you... And by the way, the instructor was a bass player, but he was probably a better guitar player than I was, even though he played bass. He knew that B.B. King didn't suck. But he said, Kennis, what do you think? And I said, I don't think he sucks. And then it was like everybody kind of erupted into laughter, kind of directed at this other person. And it was interesting because I think that in his mind, now I've done the same thing. I've said, oh, that guy, he's a horrible guitar player, trying to make myself feel better. So I'm not like throwing that guy under the bus. But it was interesting because I think that when he said that, there was a part of him that was trying to say, like, you know, I'm better than B.B. King. And if people think B.B. King is good and I'm saying, no, he's not good, that makes me even better. That makes me even a better player. And so whether somebody thinks that B.B. King is the best ever or not, which I don't think he is, he definitely has feel to his playing. Like there's aspects of his playing that are amazing. And, you know, now I would say this, like, I probably am a better rhythm guitar player than B.B. King is, because I've heard him on documentaries, on the U2 documentary, when he was playing with U2, he was like, yeah, I don't play chords. Like, he said that on the documentary. So yeah, I'm probably a better rhythm guitar player than B.B. King is, but I'm not going to say that in a way that like tries to make me better by putting him down, because B.B. King is one of the greatest guitar players, greatest blues guitar players that's ever lived. So anyway, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent on that one, but I just kind of started thinking about this today, about comparing yourself with other musicians. And so if you are especially a younger musician, or if you feel like you're in that place, a lot of times, you know, you're in your first band, or you're one of your first groups, and especially with young musicians, there's this like comparison with each other. You're always trying to be the best in the group. And let me just encourage you with this, that like, kill that thing that says, I got to be the best in the group. I want everyone to think that I'm the better player than everybody else. That's not always the best place to be at. The best place to be at is where you say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm going to spend the time and I'm going to dedicate myself to being the best musician that I can be, and then let the chips fall where they be. If the chips fall where they may. So anyway, don't compare yourself with other people, because it doesn't really do anything good. But and the truth is, usually when you get to the point where you really can say, man, I'm you know, here's two people and they're really, really good, and this guy is just, he's better than this guy. You're so far above most other people that most other people can't even distinguish the difference. You know, most people, they just kind of see somebody play guitar. It's kind of like guitars. You know, you could be playing a Squier Strat or a, you know, USA custom shop Stratocaster, Fender Stratocaster, and 99% of people that see you on stage don't even recognize the difference in those two guitars as far as cost is concerned. But sometimes we put this emphasis on that, trying to make ourselves look better than we really are. So anyway, Kennis Russell out. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up, hit that bell thing on YouTube, and share this with your friends. A little long-winded on this one, but anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it as I rambled on. And what do you think? What are your thoughts? If you're a new musician, or if you've been playing for decades, what has your experience been with comparing other people? I would really like to be a part of that conversation. So anyway, Kennis Russell out. I'll check you out in another video.